Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijananti Mamebhyak Param Avyayam Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhyak Param Avyayam Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhyak Param Avyayam Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhyak Param Avyayam Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhyak Param Avyayam. Only one ladies are allowed, so you can't chant. You can go for it. Trivirgunamaya Bhavar Ebhyak Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhyak Param Avyayam. Chanting these verses actually don't hurt. Trivi, three. Gunamayai, consisting of the gunas. Bhavai, by the states of being. Ebik, all these. Sarvam, whole. Idam, this. Jagat, universe. Mohitam, deluded. Na abhijanati, does not know. Mam, me. Ebhya, above these. Param, the supreme. Avyayam, inexhaustible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Purport. The whole world is enchanted by the three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these three modes can understand that transcendental to this material nature is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body, a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are four classes of men functioning in the three modes of nature. Those who are purely in the mode of goodness are called brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of both passion and ignorance are called vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called shudras. And those who are less than that are animals or animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may either be a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary, we do not know what we're going to be in the next life. By the spell of the illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of this bodily conception of life, and we thus think that we are American, Indian, Russian, or Brahmana, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that living entities deluded by these three modes of nature do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many different kinds of living entities, human beings, demigods, animals, etc. And each and every one of them is under the influence of material nature. And all of them have forgotten the transcendent personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness, cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahman conception of the absolute truth. They are bewildered before the Supreme Lord in his personal feature, which possesses all beauty, opulence, knowledge, strength, fame, and renunciation. When even those who are in goodness cannot understand, what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance? Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all these three modes of material nature, and those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated. Sri Gunamaya Bhavar Ebik Sarvidam Jagat Mohitam Navijanati Mamebyak Param Aviyam. I am never deluded by the three modes of material nature, deluded by the three modes. Goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, or above the modes and inexhaustible. Namo Vishnu Varaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Bacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharne. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Trivya Gunamaya Bhava, what is it? Sattvam Rajas Samayiti Guna Prakriti Sambhava Ivananti Mahavaho Dehi Dehinam Avyam. The material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. And when the living entity comes in contact with these modes, he becomes conditioned by them. In other words, what we're in right now is the three modes of material nature. But beyond the three modes of material nature, there's transcendence. And we can at least try to put ourselves in transcendence. As we put ourselves in transcendence, it's just like you put the iron in the fire, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and then gradually takes on the same properties as the fire. By our simple process of sadhana bhakti, by trying to focus our attention on Krishna and give our love to him, then gradually we're Krishnaized. And no longer we become under the modes, we become spiritualized. It's not a question of changing activities, it's a question of changing consciousness. As Prahlad Maharaj said, I'm not under the Rahu, I'm not under the material planets, I'm under the Krishna sun, I'm under the Krishna planet. So that's the planet we have to put ourselves under, and the process is simple. Difficult to apply, but simple to understand. As I've said before, our first conception is that everything here belongs to Krishna. So we have to give up this tendency to try to think ourselves we are the proprietors. Now, we may not give it up all at once because it's very difficult to just give up the idea that I am this body, I'm not this body, because we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. We have to accept something as our identities. We have to work with something. But at least theoretically, we can understand that there's a difference between my real self and my body. Who I am, I'm not 100% clear yet. But I do know I'm Krishna's servant by nature. Although I don't know exactly what kind of service I render in the spiritual world, but at least theoretically, we should accept that I'm Krishna's servant. Jivara Swapahoy, Krishnera Das. Krishnera. Jiva Swarupahoy, is that right?
Nityadas.
Nityadas. Krishnera Nityadas. That the living entity is Tatastha, the next part of it is Tatastha Beta Beta. That we're marginal, and therefore sometimes we're in the modes of material nature, and sometimes we're transcendental, and that we can experience. Therefore, we're in the present time, when we're trying to become Krishna conscious, we're conflicted. Conflicted because sometimes we identify ourselves with these gross and subtle bodies, and we're trying to make plans to improve our material future, avoid unhappy situations, and acquire auspiciousness in our lives. And sometimes we're identifying ourselves as spiritual beings, trying to transcend the material energy and establish ourselves in becoming conscious of Krishna. So the materialists are not conflicted. They're only interested in one thing, or two things actually. They're interested in getting what they don't have and making sure they don't lose what they have. Materialists, they're simply interested in material prosperity and avoiding material problems. Although in Kali Yuga, people don't know even what material prosperity is. They think money, money, sweeter than honey. The professional soldier, the thief, and the merchant, they'll risk their very dear lives just to get money. Because with money, one has the opportunity to enjoy the senses in some way. But people don't know what auspiciousness is. They don't know, most people don't know the value of good food, clean water, nice relationships, fresh air. Maybe in Slovenia they know the value of fresh air. But I don't know how good the food is that they eat. And relationships. So that's auspiciousness, and to avoid harming others, to be established in harmony with the mode of material nature, etc., etc. So this is actually auspiciousness, but Nate vidu swarthi team hi Vishnu. But they don't know what the ultimate aim of life is. Because even if they attain auspiciousness, which is rare, still they can't be completely happy due to the fact that abhiniveshita, the fear of having it all taken away, as it says in this verse, and then finding ourselves in a completely unknown situation in one of the 8,400,000 species of life. Exactly which one we don't know. And therefore one is always fearful. There's no guarantee card at the time of death. The Yamadut has come to take us away, and we pull out the card, go to Goloka, do not pay, do not collect $200. 200 euros. We have no such card to guarantee our passage. The Yamadut has come to take away. Wait a second, I'm supposed to catch a ride in around 15 minutes to go to Goloka, Stand aside. You heard Ajamil, right? Remember that time? I don't want to embarrass you. I know you're servants of Yamaraj, but be careful who you're dealing with. So, we have to be conscious that although we don't know who we are exactly, we don't know exactly what is our destination. But still, while we have the opportunity, one should try to utilize whatever situation one has and try to utilize it to the best of one's ability in Krishna's service. At least accept the fact that we're dasa, anudasa. Then whatever we do can help us come to that platform realizing who we are. We should be a little curious. Who am I actually? When we take off this costume that we put on, what do I actually look like? What am I actually feeling like in my natural state? What do I actually do? So that's called jignasu. We should be a little inquisitive. And by the very simple process of chanting Hare Krishna and reading Prabhupada's books and worshiping the deities, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, serving the devotees, and coming to a spiritual place or making the atmosphere spiritual, gradually we can actually realize these things. But in the meantime, if we have some designation, then we can utilize it. Just like if you have a car, you have a Jaguar. Do they have Jaguars around here? You have a Jaguar. Well, it goes a certain speed. But if you have a, I don't know what kind of Volkswagens they have. One of those original bug Volkswagens. What's that?
Ford Mustang.
Ford Mustang.
Polo. Yeah.
What is it?
You got Volkswagen Polo.
Polo.
They also have this new box.
They do. I think one time Prabhupada said there was some person who he didn't have to see anything. And he could tell exactly what kind of car it was. So he heard a sound go by, he said, oh, that's a Volvo, another one, oh, that's a Chevrolet. And then he heard someone was coming by, some donkey with tin cans behind him. And they were making, the tin cans behind him. And he said, oh, that's a Ford. So if you try to imitate a Volkswagen Bug, is trying to imitate a Jaguar, it's just not going to work. Now the passenger may be the same or the driver may be the same, but rather than imitating the Volkswagen, or the Jaguar, once you utilize the Volkswagen in the most appropriate way possible. So whatever body we have, we simply utilize it for Krishna service with the aim of becoming conscious of Krishna. In other words, if we accept everything belongs to Krishna, including our own body, it doesn't really matter what body we have. The important thing is that we do something for Krishna, and the only way we can do something actually for Krishna is to do it under the authority of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And that's where we're consciously aware that Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra want me to do this activity, then it's our mind that's directing us. That we can't have the same feeling of being a servant of Krishna if we're not sure what he wants us to do. So that we have to investigate. What does Krishna actually want me to do? And when we do that, if we do it to please him, then we'll become conscious of Krishna, because that's all Krishna wants. He wants us to try and please him. And if he does that, he'll reciprocate by revealing himself to us. And then that encourages us to go on with the process of accepting more things, everything belonging to Krishna, being willing to utilize things consciously in Krishna's service to please him, and then gradually Krishna reveals himself more and more, and we can understand that Bhagavad Gita is not just some theoretical book, it's actually a reality. Everything else, we're living in a dream, in material existence, in material consciousness, and when we wake up, then we experience what actually is real. So here Krishna is saying that Trivira Gunamayar Bhavar Evik Sarvamidam Jagat. That although he's created this whole material universe with all these three modes and everyone's going in all different directions according to whatever mode they're in, but still he's above these modes. And if we take shelter of him, then we can also go beyond the modes too. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to accept Krishna as what he says he is. That Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the enjoyer, and Krishna is the friend. If we accept that, then our lives become auspicious. Otherwise, we'll simply battle with the three modes of nature. And since time immemorial, every soul that has ever battled with the three modes of material nature has gotten knocked out. And we won't be the exception either. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? They've gotten knocked out of the spiritual world, at least.
I have two questions. First question is, with sleeping, eating, and all this stuff, we can rest our gross body.
What's that?
With sleeping and balanced eating, we can make our body in shape, gross body. But how and body can rest and regenerate and everything. But how do you rest your subtle body? Is it connected also, or what's food? Lemonade is good for body to, I don't know.
Well, hearing about Krishna is the only food for the mind. If the mind thinks about Krishna, the mind is going to think about something else. If it thinks about Krishna, then it becomes Krishnized, it becomes spiritualized. And if it thinks about anything else, it comes under the spell of the modes of nature, either goodness, passion, ignorance, depending on which mode we're thinking about. And any mode will cover us to some degree or another, less in the mode of goodness, more in the mode of ignorance. But the soul, unless it experiences Krishna, the bliss and the happiness of becoming conscious of Krishna, never feel satisfied. So the mind will never feel satisfied.
Okay. The second one is with accepting this concept with being das, anu, das. Can this be exaggerated? Do you know? Like, can you be like?
You mean it was, instead of 1 million dasas, it was 10 million?
Yes. I mean, like, unhealthy service attitude, or is that?
Yeah, of course. Anything we put our mind to right now, because of our intelligence and that's so pure, we're not going to understand what it means. But we should try to at least go in that direction. Oh Prabhu, I'm your humble servant. Please accept me. Don't hit me. Let me kiss your big toe. Yeah, we can put on a big show, but that's not what Krishna consciousness is all about. We should find out what the devotees want, what our acharyas want. First of all, we should find out what our acharyas want, how they want us to serve in different circumstances. It's not that becoming servant to the servant to the servant, someone goes, go to the grocery store, and then the one goes, no, go over there. Go, climb out the top of the roof and jump off. Yes, I'll do all of them. Which one first? Do all of them. We should find out what our acharyas want, and then serve the devotees appropriately. Ultimately, we're instruments for Krishna. We're not interested in serving people's minds. We're interested in finding out what Krishna wants first. And Krishna will give us the intelligence, how to serve him, how to serve the devotees, how to serve the innocent, and how to avoid the atheists, if that's what we want. Krishna will give us the intelligence how to, whatever we do to please him, and then naturally we'll be doing the best service for everyone else. We're interested in watering the root, not every leaf and branch. Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Why wouldn't the Ajamil card not work?
The what?
The Ajamil card.
Ajamil? You can try it. I can't guarantee it won't work. I wouldn't recommend experimenting, though. And then if you do, come back sometime or another and tell us. If it was successful, come back and tell us, or else. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Grandaraj Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Prabhupada Ki Jai.